So what are the biggest issues that need to be explored in continuing this kind of work? I don't know if I know what the biggest ones are, but I do have my own view of what some of the, and I emphasize that, some of the central issues are that we really need to pay more attention to. And one of them we have already talked about today, and that is what does nation building look like absent recognition and rights? Because that, in fact, is the situation of most indigenous peoples in the world. And so we need to be paying attention to how indigenous people can assert rights, exercise rights, accomplish their goals, pursue those goals effectively when you don't have the kind of supporting framework of rights, as modest as it might be, that we have in North America. So I think that's an area where we need to spend time, think about, and work on. Another area, I think, is the urban indigenous population. I think some people feel nation building depends on a land base. I'm not convinced that that's true. I think governance is something that has to happen everywhere. But we've not done very much work on trying to see what indigenous self-government might look like in urban populations that have mixed cultures, mixed backgrounds, mixed homelands. In all of the 4 countries that I've worked in, the indigenous population is probably primarily urban, but most of our work has been on reserved lands. So there's a big challenge there, and I think it's something we need to pay some attention to. The other thing that I think is an emerging issue is what I think of as the small nation challenge, which is that there are a lot of places in the world, parts of North America, certainly in Canada, Alaska, Southern California, certainly in Australia, and I think in many other parts of the world, where indigenous communities who see themselves as collectives, as, in a sense, singular entities, are very small. What does self-government mean when you only have a few hundred citizens? And how do you deal with the problem of scale? If you want to assert power, how do you do that? And what the question that raises really is, who should the collective self be in self-government? And for some nations, I think it's going to mean reaching out to allies. And it may be people with whom you share culture or language. It could be peoples with whom you share a particular history, or perhaps an ecosystem, a watershed, some basis on which you can come to an agreement about working together on a certain set of issues that need a scale of organization larger than what you can readily supply. And I think we ought to be looking for those nations that are small but effective at building governments and figure out how they do it, because I think that's going to be a major challenge.